Hi guys. So I've talked about this 3 times because the connection is being bad, but I do not mind talking about what I'm talking about for 3 times because it is so cool. So today, me and my nest group, this is a kind of a early move-in group for college, went into Richmond and we went to a Civil War museum, but we also and there's nothing really. It was, the Civil War Museum was just like any other, tons of exhibits, but no one was really into what they were doing, it seemed. But we went to a Holocaust museum, and I've always loved Holocaust museums. I mean, they're terribly depressing. That is true. The Holocaust is not a happy time, but they're just there's so much. There are so many stories, and I think the fact that it is so awful, it kind of is it's a more powerful experience. It happened like it happened not too long ago. It was like 50 years ago. That's not very long at all, and that's it's still terrifying to me. But anyways, we went to the museum. It was called the Virginia Holocaust Museum. Not a terribly exciting name, but when we went in, we were given a tour by one of the survivors. So I don't know. I'm sure you've heard, but there are not many survivors left at all. There are like maybe 15 still in the world. Um, I mean, he is the younger of all these survivors. He was born at the end, like near the end of the Holocaust, but that does not mean he didn't still face all the horrible things that were going on. Um, so he was 10, born. He and his twin brother were 10, or not 10. They were born at the end of this. Interesting things and terrible things happened when they were 10. So, anyways, his parents were actually in the concentration camps, and they both escaped, not together. They actually met later while they were escaping, and to hide away, they had to basically live in a hole in the ground for 3 months. And at that time, uh, tour guide Alex Kesk, I don't know how to pronounce the name, but it's spelled Keisch. Look him up. He's a wonderful motivational speaker. He talks about his survival stories, and he talks about bullying and a ton of other things. But anyways, so his mom was very pregnant, 3 months in at this point, and they're like, oh man, our babies are not going to live if we continue to live in this little cave with no oxygen. So they left. Um, they kept running, and they had the twins while they were on the run. Um, and Alex had several interesting stories about being on the run and how they had to hide away in different homes and ghettos and holes in the ground, and eventually they made it to a dislocated persons camp, but they weren't great. I mean, they were made out of the old concentration camps, and that was not good memories. So his dad took them um, to France, to America. I'm sure I can't remember everything because I'm kind of tired right now. But anyways, they didn't stay in the dislocated people's persons camp. They moved elsewhere. Eventually, they went to America, so that might have been where they went. But anyways, it was amazing. So the museum is incredible in itself. It's very interactive. They've got a lot of relics from the time period. Like they have these old train tracks, and they've got a box car that people were carried in, the tracks people were transported on. And we stood in the box car, and I think it gives you a much it makes it seem a lot closer when you are standing in the place where people died. It's like, oh man, this is horrible, but it's also quite beautiful because you feel like you become closer to these experiences of these people. These awful things that happen to these women and these children and these men, grandmothers, grandfathers, whoever the hell you were. It didn't matter as long as you weren't Aryan, which is fucked up beyond all belief. But it happened, unfortunately. They had also reconstructed a gas chamber. We had just gone through the kids' memorial, which was already getting me teared up, and then we went onto the boxcar, then we were in the gas chamber, and I think that was the most powerful thing when we were put in there, because it was, the only thing that was different was the walls weren't cement. Um, I mean, they had the little, like, murder holes, basically, where they dropped the gas in. I mean, they didn't drop any gas in on us, I'm still here. But, you know, they had the holes where they dropped the gas in on these hundreds of people. They squeezed into this little, like, community shower-sized room. And that, you know, that is shit. And when he gave us that lecture in there, you know, it was interesting, and it was wonderful, and a lot of people had to leave the room, not just because they couldn't breathe, but because it was like, oh my god, I can't stay in here. This is emotionally hard, and it really was, but it made it so cool that we got this guy's personal experience. I mean, he was never in the gas chambers. He may have not been in the concentration camps, but he could tell you how awful discrimination was. I mean, he had to have the jacket with the gold star on his chest and sometimes on his arm, and everything. And it was, this one kid in his school told him he hated him just because he was Jewish. He was like, what, 12 when that happened? It's terrible. But anyways, he lost most of his family to the Holocaust. Several cousins, grandparents, and his mother died, not because of that, but when he was 10, when he and his brother were 10, she died like an obstruction in her kidneys, and it was disgusting and disturbing, and it was sad. But you know, his father lived longer than she did, a lot longer, but it was so sad that he lost his mom at that young age. But anyways, he's a wonderful, lovely, lovely man. I would love to go out for lunch with him one day, and just have a talk. He's just this very, very humble, well-natured man. And if you ever get the chance to go to the Virginia Holocaust Museum, please, please, even if you don't get him as a tour guide, just pull him aside and just talk. He's wonderful to listen to. Yeah, just generally lovely. And I think everybody, it is very rare now that you get to meet a survivor. Um, so, and he's one of the last ones left. So please go talk to him. And he's got a lot of great stories, more than I've told you here. So anyways, I hope you've had a lovely week, and I hope you continue to have a lovely week. I will come up with a video next week, and I'm also going to post the picture I took of him. There's a picture of him and his family in the museum, him and his brother, and his mom and his dad. And it was really cool. So, yeah. I'll post all that, and I will talk to you next Wednesday. Bye.